All right,
That's why I was trying
I'm gonna call this meeting to order, the Madison Board of Selectmen, this is June 25th at 4:30, and first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, approval of minutes from June 11th.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as printed.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of the joint meeting minutes with the school board from June 11th.
I have two corrections. One is a possible correction, or correct me. Cigna Insurance, I believe, is with a C.
Oh, okay.
That's the comment, but I don't know if it's the same Cigna Insurance, but,
I don't know,
yeah.
I'll find out.
And then it said the school employees pay 11%. I believe they said they paid 13. Does that sound right, John? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I know they were talking about what they paid.
I'll find out.
Yeah. Should have that note somewhere about it. Other than that, I will make a motion to approve the joint meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I will abstain as I was not present. Approval of the non-public minutes for the first non-public from June 11th. That was the 4 o'clock non-public.
For L,
Yes.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then approval of the non-public minutes from June 11th.
I have one correction. Bottom of the second page, roll call vote. It was John and I.
Did I do it again?
Reversed it. Page 2 at the bottom, the roll call vote, the lines.
Yep.
The copy I have says John and Adam. Adam wasn't there, so it was John and I.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve as amended?
I will make a motion to approve these minutes as
Oh, I see.
amended. Oh,
Sorry.
Okay.
I was looking for your name, not the X. Got it. Got it. Sorry. Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
I will abstain. All right, approval of the manifests. Payroll, $35,219.40. Payroll liabilities, $11,084.40. Accounts payable, $60,156.72, and $175,576 to the elementary school for a total of $282,036.52.
Motion to approve the manifest.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, with that, we will open the public hearing to discuss and receive input on the purchase of a new grader for the town. I don't think I need to read all that. Anybody on the board have a comment before public comment?
I've been looking at the numbers, looking at the updated analysis that Joe Dane provided. Thank you, Joe. This is probably your third round of providing analysis of this, so it's all been incredibly helpful. You know, what Joe put together, I think it's available for folks on the table if you want to see it. We basically have, on one hand, 3 options. Repair the existing, rent for now, or purchase a 2024 Cat 140 all-wheel drive road grader. As we know, the existing is 1987. It's been with us a while, 37 years. And it's been in need of regular repairs. And then we have been renting in the meantime while it's been down. It's $3,600 a week to rent, plus transportation charges. So, again, if you have an opportunity to read Joe's analysis, I really recommend it. He talks about the costs, the risks, of repairing the current grader. Joe, I don't know if you wanna provide a summary, or whether or not you want me to keep babbling?
No, I can. We've been working on this since it came up, I guess early June or so. As you know, the current grader is a 1987, it's 37 years old. Last year it caught on fire and was down and out. The parts were no longer available. Cat had a custom make a wire harness for that. And I think the total cost was about $50,000. And then running the machine this year, there was a coolant leak. At first, they thought it might have been a cracked engine block or head gasket, something. Cat technician came up, diagnosed it as the water pump was gone. The coolant system needed work. So they repaired that. As he was checking, looking the machine over as part of the repair, he noticed that it looks like the engine oil cooler is leaking. The engine oil is getting into the coolant, and white milky oil was draining out of the cooling system. So there's an additional problem. Then I was talking with Justin before the meeting, and now the hose blew out today when they were running it. It's a 37-year-old high pressure hydraulic line. Again, that's a minor repair, but it's been just one thing after another with the 1987 grader. And I did a lot of analysis. In reliability engineering, I was a Raytheon project manager for a long time. We did this constantly for government defense systems and things like that. Life system, cost analysis. And the grader has about 10 to 12,000 hours on it right now, the 87. The hour meter broke sometime in the past, so we don't know exactly. But it's at the point where components start to fail. Cat has a recommended, the service life on the machine is about 12,000 hours, which explains why we're seeing the failures. Things are just wearing out on the machine. That's just, it's getting old. And that grader was $80,000 new. Linda actually looked up the information for me. So I think the town has more than got their money's worth out of that machine over 37 years. We said we could, we looked at fixing it, and I'm thinking, Cat charges about $1,500 just to come up to look at the machine. And if they have to replace the oil cooler in there and other parts, we could be talking $5,000, $6,000 again to fix the machine. And again, we're still stuck with a machine with 12,000 hours. Will it last another year? I don't know. It's hard to say. What could fail next? So I called it a high risk. It's a lowest cost. If we put a little more money into it, when we coax it like Dave's doing with the big red transfer station truck, he's babying that till we get the new one. Again, that's our lowest cost option for maybe $6K. The machine's back in the game, but we don't know. It's on life support. The second option was to rent, which DPW has been renting from Burke Quarry. It costs about $3,600 a week because this other machine has been down. That's an option too. We could rent as needed, for 2 weeks at a time, or that type of thing. The advantage there is any repairs and maintenance is on Burke Quarry. It's not on town expense. But it's $3,600 a week. It's not cheap either. So. We were looking at at our budget meeting we had last week. We looked at some of the long-term costs, and if we rented that thing for 3 months, straight, it would be over $50,000. You're hitting a 6-month rental is about $100K. So that's kind of the cost we're talking for long-term rentals.
Not to mention that the rental doesn't have a wing plow.
Yeah, that's I looked at pros and cons on it, and there's another associated risk. Basically, you're picking this machine up from Burke Quarry. If they're using it on another job, it's not available for the town to use. That's a risk. We could have another storm like we had last year, and the DPW guys got to go out and fill and grade roads and, sorry, our grader's not available. And it does, as Adam mentioned, it doesn't have a snow wing plow mount. So, we can't plow with it in the winter. The current grader has the Craig mount on it, and the town already has a wing plow, to push the snowbanks back. But again, it's a low-cost option, to kind of rent it as needed. But there are risks.
Question.
Sir, yes.
That was not rented as needed, that was a contract for 3 months. You have a different number for rented as needed. Right?
Yeah, it comes out to, I figured it, if you rented it for 2 weeks to grade roads and stuff, it'd be about $7,200 plus the cost of diesel fuel. So and I calculated it comes out to about $310 per road mile.
All right, Dave, or Josh, either, I didn't even see you there, you hiding. Did they reassess the trade-in value on this yet?
Not yet, no.
We're hoping that they're gonna stay steadfast in the 32.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, that was one of the risks of purchase. And the last option is to purchase a new grader, which Josh, the DPW went out. Milton Caterpillar it's a 2024 machine. It's in production right now. It's a 140 all-wheel drive, which is set up for snow. It comes with the Craig snow mount on it. It's a very nice machine. Earlier in June, I did a market survey on what these machines cost. And graders are very expensive. Like everything else, they've gone up. Originally, we paid $80,000 in 1987. They're over $400K now for a grader. So, 5 times price increase. The price that Milton Caterpillar submitted of $410,000 for that machine is a very good price. I looked at used machines, new machines all over the country. I put together a paper on it. Most of the machines are $450,000 to $500,000. For a similar machine, the price that Josh obtained, I think, includes the municipal discount that CAT offers. One of the questions that came up at the budget meeting in the research is, what do we get for a warranty on this machine? It's a high-tech, it's a beautiful machine, very expensive machine. It's a 7-year, 3,500-hour warranty. It's called the CAT Premier Extended Protection Plan. It covers every system on that grader. Hydraulics, powertrain, you name it, it's covered, except wear items like brakes and tires. You puncture a tire, that's at your expense. But I don't know where else you're gonna get a 7-year, 3,500-hour warranty. Sir?
Hold on.
Yeah,
Go
ahead.
Let them talk to me, please.
Now, how much is it gonna cost us to train somebody to run this thing?
Can you state your name for the camera?
Bruce Corrado.
Josh? Our guys will be able to,
There's already people that are trained to operate.
They don't do a very good job with it.
we're not gonna sit here and tell whether or not our public employees are good or bad, but we do have people that are trained to run the grader.
Are they trained to run this particular grader with this advanced technology, or are they trained to run a grader?
My understanding is we have employees that can run this specific grader. Any other questions from the public?
Yeah, I want to address the trade-in value. That question came up. Milton Cat offered $32,500 for the 87 120G. I did another market survey, what those machines are selling for. And they're anywhere between $10,000 and $39,000, $40,000. So that price that Milton Cat gave, I consider to be a very fair price for that trade-in, especially with the hours on it, the condition that it's in. We did discuss, since it does have the oil in the coolant issue, the potential oil cooler has to be replaced. Would Milton Cat give us less of a trade-in value? Are they gonna deduct 10 grand saying, we gotta fix the machine before we can, flip it to, where does it go, Venezuela or something? They export these things. So, there's a little bit of risk there. We don't know yet because I think it's Jeff, the salesman from CAT, hasn't given us an assessment on the grader yet. One of the other risks I came up with was the non-appropriation of funds risk. you know, if the purchase of the new grader is not approved at the March 2025 town meeting, you know, we're gonna have delivery of a machine. This machine will arrive here probably August, early September. You know, it's in production, I think it's in production now. It'll be coming up, you know, shipped from the factory. You know, we're gonna have to pay to lease the machine for 4 or 5 months, you know, the time used, any damages. Then we have to pay to transport the machine from Madison back to a return location of their choice within 100 miles of Madison. So there is some risk to, you know, financial risk to proceeding, you know, with leasing this machine before the town meeting. Linda reached out to a company there that I guess the town has been using for about 30 years or so. It's a company called Tax Exempt Leasing Corporation. They're in Thompson Station, Tennessee. And they finance equipment. You know, we'd be basically taking a lease to buy, a loan to purchase this machine. The CAT selling price is $410,000. The trade-in value is $32,500. So our net cost would be about $377,000. The interest rate is 5.99%, which is, I think, competitive, you know, right now for a vehicle, especially heavy equipment. So the annual payment for 7 years would be $67,000, $599 and 44 cents. So the total cost over 7 years would be $473,000. So, you know, this is a $500,000 acquisition over 7 years. Then I even calculated what it would cost to run this machine. You know, they're very expensive, and I used to do a lot of equipment life cycle cost analysis. And that includes the acquisition, operation, maintenance, training, and disposal of the piece of equipment. So I came up with a total cost to run that machine for a year, what it would cost us to bring it in. The finance cost is the $67,000. Operations and maintenance is about $21,000 a year. So it's $88,000 a year to have that machine, you know, on the DPW lot available to use. And I came up with an average number of hours used per year based on the existing CAT 120. It has 12,000 hours divided by 37 years. So it gets used about 324 hours a year, which seems reasonable. Is that too, yeah, you know, it's a best guess, right?
Divide that into the cost
Hold
per
on,
year.
guys,
Yeah,
questions have to come this
and
way.
I did,
It's not a sitting
and,
member of the board, and you-
it comes out to 200.
All right, hold on,
Sorry.
we're done. That can't happen.
I'm hearing so much BS.
Okay, but that can't happen, or I'm gonna have to ask you to leave, so please stop. All right? The questions need to be directed to the board. This isn't gonna take place. Joe, I appreciate your presentation and all your hard work, but
It's
it's time.
fine. He's
It's-
doing a great job.
It's time for us to have questions from the public. That's why we're
Okay.
here. Does anybody have a question? You know?
Tino Fernandez from Colby Hill Road. I've looked at Joe's number. I want to, first of all, thank him. He's a great asset to the town in this analysis, and he's a great asset to the budget committee. I look at things at the bottom line. What is it going to cost us per year to grade roads? That's what we're interested in. I know people are talking about snow plowing, but we're getting a $500,000 machine to grade roads, and that's what we need this machine for. If you look at the as-needed rental, which was about $8,800 a week, and you say we do it 2 weeks, it's like $1,700. You could do it 3 weeks. You could, you know, I'm sorry, you're doing it for 2 weeks each time you rent it, so you could do it 3 times or something. If you look at the cost for this new unit per year, based on your numbers, it's $88,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's a factor of 4 difference to grade roads. We only have 28 miles of roads in this town. It's a small town, it's 2,500 people and taxpayers. I think it's more cost effective, at least looking at your numbers, to stick with rent as needed at this point. That's just my thoughts as I see it. I'm willing to hear what other people have in the cycle.
Josh, can you tell me how often we use that wing plow and how important it is to our fleet?
Well, you gotta have, we got rid of the Oshkosh, and that was used to push back the bankings when we get large amounts of snow. We sometimes have to use the plow and wing on the grader to push the snow bankings back. And once they get to a certain depth or height, we use the grader to push them back. It all depends on the amount of snow.
So I think the use of the machine is more in-depth than what you're calculating for. Go ahead, Tina.
Well, is it not possible to have another piece of equipment to push the snow back that isn't $450,000? A front-end loader, another wing plow on another truck? In other words, we're spending a lot of money on a piece of machinery that we have used for 324 hours a year, which means it's getting used for a lot more than grading at this point. But this is the wear and tear on a piece of equipment that costs $450,000. Maybe we just need a $250,000 truck. I'm not.
Well, and then you take that $250,000 truck and then you add in whatever 50 or 70 or $100,000 worth of rental, and that's every year. So
The rental as needed is for two rentals, according to your numbers, it's $17,000 per year. Every time you do it another 2 weeks, it's $8,800. So if you do it 3 times, it's basically $25,000. If those numbers, I'm just using your numbers, Joe.
anybody else have any questions?
The wing plow, would it attach to the new grader?
Yes, it's all set up. The new grader has the setup to attach our plow.
Already has it
Yep.
included? Okay. Thank you.
I believe the grader, the wing on the grader has a much further reach than you would get from the wing on a truck. A truck would push the snow off the road into the ditch line, but as that builds up and builds up, we need to move it even further off the road. Hence, a grader has far more reach, and it has the capability to hold the blade level at any height, allowing us to pass over objects and allowing us to push the snow. So no, a truck wouldn't be efficient. You'd have to put the truck in the ditch to get the wing for, to give it the ability, which obviously wouldn't be effective. And that's why we use graders to push back the snow in the winter. It's what we need, the proper piece of equipment for the job.
So hypothetically, say we have 4 major, have a snowstorm a week. How frequently would we need the wing plow to push back?
Could depend on how wet the snow is, how heavy it is, how hard it, how, if it's light and fluffy and it pushes back, it may not be bad. If it's super heavy and wet and nasty, you need something with some strength and some reach to deal with it. Each event is totally different, so you have to have the ability, and if we don't have a grader and we need to push back snow, and it's 3 feet of snow and we need it, and we don't have it, we gotta try to find someone who's willing to rent it. And Burke's not a rental company. Burke is a quarry. They have that grader dedicated to their, I think that they're actually, kind enough to let us rent it. They don't have to let us rent it. Therefore, if they say no, now you have to find a company that has a full-size grader, that has the ability to get it to us when we want it. You can't just call, it's not a car, you can't call up and say, Monday morning, I'd like to have a grader. And, oh yeah, we got 4, which one do you want?
What has Burke said to us about periodic long-term or renting over the long term?
I don't know that we've even asked that question, we just know what the cost would be.
Has anyone required combs
About,
to renting a grader when you needed it? He has 5, last I knew.
we have asked, roughly the same cost?
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's a lot closer and you ain't gotta lug it up here.
Last time we asked, I believe, I
They
just
didn't
heard
have
you
any
say,
available.
they didn't have any available, and it was the same, it would've been the same cost as Burke. So availability is a big risk
Yeah.
when it comes to not having a grader.
So I think Josh had said at the budget committee meeting that there's about a week's worth of grading done pretty heavily in the spring, there's a week's worth in the fall, and then there's washouts in between. So is that a correct assessment, or am I missing something?
Yeah, no, that's,
It all depends on the year. I mean, if it's, we get a lot of rain, then we're gonna be grading more. You know, it's not.
I had one over here. Just state name for the camera.
Yep, Jim
please.
Eldridge. The $88,000 a year, I think everybody's getting hooked on that for a minute here. That's for the cost of the finance, so that's
That
7 years.
includes the finance and the estimate to run it for 324 hours a year.
Okay, that's.
That's everything, diesel, fuel, lubricant,
So we don't know
parts,
what that's
maintenance.
gonna happen, who knows?
I needed a
I
number,
don't mean to be going to him, I'm sorry.
no, but,
Um,
I just, so we could calculate something, I
Okay.
based it on the hours on the old machine.
Totally
Yeah.
understand. That's 7 years, correct?
Yes.
7
For
years
7
we're gonna rent
years.
this thing for?
Yeah.
Or lease it for, or whatever you wanna do. After that, town owns it.
Yep.
So basically, it's the cost of running it, just like every other thing we buy, cruisers, trucks. How long are you expecting this to last?
Wow, the last one lasted us 37 years, so who's?
We all know nothing's made the same, but if it's 25 years, so you're
Even-
gonna
even
end
if
up
it's
with
15 or-
18 years of no payments. So then you gotta factor, you know, that's nice you did that, but we really should try to factor in how long you're gonna have it, because penny wise, pound foolish, the old saying, you're crazy not to just buy the thing. and
You
get it.
also have to factor in the fact that
Thank you.
it's fully warranted for that entire 7 years.
Yes.
There's no money spent on, other than wear and tear items, there's no money spent on the repair of the machine.
So
And
what-
it's totally unknown at this point what we're gonna spend week to week on the one we have,
Yep, and
just to
this,
keep it running.
a significant difference is 1987 technology versus 2024 technology. And that this is a machine, I believe, is, Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, that we wouldn't be able to diagnose things. It requires someone to come with a computer, like newer cars. It requires someone to come and read the electronics. So that's not something we can maintain ourselves. And again, as you pointed out, things aren't made the same.
They're not made the same,
Phones
nothing.
last a year these days,
Mhm.
you know, so,
But you're gonna have a lot of years of not paying for it, hopefully. That's what you hope for.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I had a question over here. Just-
Also, you gotta keep in mind, you can pull ditches, keep your ditches cleaned out. This isn't just grading and plowing. You got a machine that you can clean your ditches out and there's plenty to do. This isn't just grading and plowing the roads. There's plenty of work in this town for a grader.
I don't need to hear it, but can you state your name for the camera?
Ellen King.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Oh, I was asked, to bring a question, and that was, did we look at the CAT 120? Because we have a CAT 120, we're going to a CAT 140. So did we look at CAT 120s in a like-for-like scenario?
well, this particular grader just was the only one available at the time from Caterpillar, so.
No,
We
this-
have looked at 120s in the past, and we've looked at 670, the equivalent John Deere's, equivalent to the 140s and the 120s. 672, 772s on the John Deere end of it.
If I recall correctly, when Justin looked into the John Deere's last year, we were up towards 500 or
Yeah.
511,000.
That was for 672.
Yeah,
So where are we this year with machines?
We just met with the United salesman, which is the John Deere salesman, and he came to the shop yesterday and talked to us, and he couldn't believe that they were giving us that kind of deal, is what he actually told us. He said he couldn't compete.
availability is one of the number one driving factors in this, never mind the fact that we're getting a heck of a deal. But if we don't get this one, and it does pass in March, we're looking at waiting another 18 months on top of March. Give or take a year.
That's my concern, is that if we walk away from this deal and wait till March,
We'll be spending.
it's not like they turn these things out like cars. These are custom-built machines. And from what I understand, there are 2 towns behind us that are waiting for graders. So,
So how many places have we contacted, to solicit bids for various graders within the past 6 months?
In the past 6 months?
Yeah.
It'd be the John Deere and Caterpillar, Milton Caterpillar and United John Deere. We have not contacted, I haven't, Volvo
Volvo don't make them.
Volvo doesn't make them anymore.
And John Deere, we only spoke with yesterday.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions from the public?
I got one. Linda, is this gonna have tax impact next March? Or are we using this for a down payment?
Next year, we'll put in the budget that's the payment. So
Okay.
in 2025, we'd be paying that $67,000 payment.
Okay.
Does there have to be a warrant article, though, to approve the purchase of, at this point, the $473,000?
There would be a warrant article about this whole, yeah.
In March.
Yes.
March of 2025.
So I have a
Can
question,
you, sorry, can you state your name for the camera?
Patty Corrado.
Thank you.
Sorry. So we would essentially receive this summer and rent it,
No, so the way we
lease
work,
it.
we would trade our grader in, we would
Uh-huh.
enter into this lease agreement, and in March, town would ratify the lease agreement. If town decided not to ratify the lease agreement, the grader would go back to CAT, and they would also retain our trade, we would have nothing.
Okay, so if the town approved it, does the money we spend leasing it all these months, does that go towards that purchase?
Yes, it's the same, yes.
Okay,
It-
so
we
we
wouldn't
wouldn't
lose out on
be
anything.
out that money?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, see.
Huh.
I could, if the town doesn't
Yeah.
approve it in March, what would happen to that money that we put into the lease?
We would be out the money for the
We
lease.
would be out the money for that first.
Where will we put in
We would be out the money of the trade-in,
Oh,
Great.
because that's the money that we would be putting into the lease this year is just the trade. So yes, we'd be out the 32.5 that the current grader is worth. Mike?
That's what, there was some confusion, not understanding that.
All right, anybody else?
Just one last question. Who maintains all our equipment? We have mechanics or do we,
It's a combination, it depends on what the maintenance is. A lot of our maintenance is done here by the guys, and then of course, there are certain things that we have to call CAT for, it really depends on what it is.
because I was just wondering why the problems weren't noticed on the grader earlier, that's all.
I think you'll find that the problems were noted earlier, but we also had the problem with the trash truck, and last year we decided that we would go with the trash truck and hedge our bets on the grader, and it didn't work in our favor.
And we have put a lot of money into the grader over the years. 20 years ago, we put over $30,000 into it to buy us another 10 years. So I mean, you're looking at a guy that doesn't like to spend money. I had to buy a new car this week, and boy, did that piss me off.
Bought one of my yards.
We're not gonna pay for that, John.
And it's time. Like you were saying, this is gonna last 20, 25 years.
Hopefully.
With any luck.
And there'll be few of us left in this room when we need to buy another one.
It won't be our problem.
Last longer than we will.
Exactly.
The other thing you could note would be, you know, we held on to that grader for 37 years. Had we traded it in 20 years ago, it would have been worth $100,000. And the price of the new one would have been possibly $50,000, $60,000 less, or $100,000 less that they're asking now.
Right. And I
We
can-
waited so long that there's no trade-in value on that. You wouldn't do that with your car typically. You know, you assess when's the right time to trade the car in.
Question of the
That
values.
was
That was one of my points.
When you say the
If we had traded it back when it first came to the table, it would have been worth more, the unit would have cost less, it would have been just as painful probably. My problem is, we're spending thousands of taxpayer dollars to keep this thing operating, and it's not working. The other point I wanna make is we have a capital plan, and there's been a reluctance in this community to put money away towards the purchase of a new vehicle. This is a great example of that. We should have a chunk of money, we wouldn't have enough to pay the whole thing off, but a big chunk of money to take away the pain. We're sitting here because of decisions that were made in the past, well-meaning, but we're gonna have to sustain the pain if we're gonna have quality equipment and keep quality roads.
You just state your name for the camera real quick.
I mean,
State your name for the camera.
Rick Judkins.
Thank you.
Line 7.
Yeah, in 2019, we had $76,000 in a greater fund. And that got transferred that year into a generic heavy equipment fund. My understanding, reading the minutes, the town meeting minutes when that happened, it was intended that that would continue to pay for the grader, repairs to the grader to keep it going. So I think that it's been used, again, for repairs, but I don't know if it's been used exclusively for grader repairs, but there was money, 2019, but it's pretty much gone now.
Anything else? All right. Do you want me to close the hearing before we make a decision, or do you want it open? Does it matter?
Do you want to close it to public hearing?
All right, we're gonna close the public hearing at this time, and this board has a decision to make.
Well, it isn't gonna get any cheaper next year. It's gonna cost us more. Everything's gonna cost us more. Gonna be groceries gonna cost you more. I think we bite the bullet and do it this year. We've got a trade-in that still has some value. If we keep it another year, that grader may have no value. And I'd hate to lose 37,000, whatever it is, dollars. 32,500. My feeling is to go forward with it. I agree with Mr. Judkins on a CIP. Our CIP has to be rewritten, it has to go out almost 10 years. And right now it goes out 6 or 8. It needs to go out 10 or more years to make plans. We almost gotta make plans to replace the one we're buying.
Quick comment, Kat did a case study on these machines. And what a lot of jurisdictions do is at the end of the 7-year warranty, they trade the machine in. Because that machine is still worth $350,000, right? And that way, you're not doing long-term maintenance. So, they have a plan to roll them over, as they age, before they totally depreciate and start breaking down. But again, that's something to consider as part of our capital plan.
How many of those are available now?
Well, the trouble with buying one of those is you don't get that
You don't get the warranty. Yeah.
You don't get the 7-year, $3,500 warranty,
Which means a lot.
which means everything. When they're coming here from Concord at $1,500 a trip.
Mm-hmm.
But the answer to your question about how many of those are available now is none.
Yeah.
Because they are sold before they go on the market.
And we've asked in the past 6 months.
Oh, we've asked, several. Matter of fact, we were talking to the guy, one that we had found that had over 4,000 hours on it. That was a cat that was through the John Deere dealer. That was a lease turned in, some town had turned in. And they had leased it or let another town in New Hampshire, rent it for a month with the expectation that they were gonna buy it at the end of that month. They signed the deal to buy the Cat 140 grader at the end of the month, and he just told us yesterday, the day after they signed, they lost the water pump on it.
Mm-hmm.
No warranty.
I do have real-world data. I put a lot of research into this. A 2023 Cat 140 with 158 hours on it. Like a turn-in used, $495,000. Another machine with 750 hours, $419,000. A 2020, as Josh mentioned, high-hour machine, 24,000 hours, $390,000. In a machine here, a 2023 with 285, $498,000. And another one with low hours, it's a cat rental machine, 142 hours, $420,000. So, you know, if it's decided to proceed with this purchase of this machine, we're getting a brand new 2024 for less than what they're selling these used machines, you know, online for.
So my feeling is that we move ahead with it, and,
I'm obviously struggling with it, I mean, you know, clearly, because I feel like we haven't planned for this. You know, as John said, we need to have a capital improvement plan that includes all major equipment, not just a couple of select pieces. We are planning out 10, 20 years in advance, we don't have that, so we haven't been planning for this. And that we haven't even asked Burke how frequently could we use it. We haven't even, you know, said to Coleman, in the future, what's the availability of renting one of the 5, a week in the spring, a week in the fall, and again, washouts, they're gonna be hard to come by, because I think people will be, you know, towns will be going to use them, but
And snow, which is pretty random, you can't plan for snow.
well, if we rent, we wouldn't use it for snow.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm struggling with it, I really am.
Well, can
Well-
I just ask a question? You could use it for snow, right? You said you wouldn't use it for snow?
A
If you rent
rental
it,
could
then
not be
you-
used for snow, because we wouldn't have a wing plow attachment, is my understanding.
Well, the rental that you're renting now doesn't have a
No.
Any rental wouldn't, I think that's what we were getting at.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I'm
Okay.
saying, yeah.
It's good to have that clear, that's true.
okay, I think we're done with public comment.
Yep. We need to, I'm on board with it, and I'm gonna make the motion that we enter the 7-year lease agreement on the Cat 140 grader with trade-in as our current grader.
I'll second that conversation.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I am an aye at this point. It is unanimous, but I am struggling with it. Wise woman once said, past is prologue. So let's start the book now, and plan better.
Do you have anything ready to sign, or you wanna sign it later?
I do, but yeah, there's quite a bit to sign, you want to sign
We
it?
can put it in there. Yep. All right, we'll sign it in the signature item.
That's mostly all you, thank you, Roy.
All right. I'm reluctant, but public comment not pertaining to the grader. Kathy,
Anybody else want me to come up front?
you're good where you are, if it's hard to get out, just,
Okay, great.
I think the camera can hear you.
Okay. Kathy Cozell, 7 Lakeview Drive up in Idlewise. I was here 2 weeks ago and we kind of started this discussion about short-term rentals, our second favorite topic after the grader. And I know I tend to talk fast, I even wrote at the top of my paper to please slow down. So I've had 2 weeks to reflect on the conversation that I had with the board regarding short-term rentals. I didn't think it was appropriate at that time to get into any kind of back and forth discussion with the selectmen, but I would like to make a few points. I found it a little unsettling that a comment was made that the voters in 2022 didn't know what they were voting for. The amendment was pretty clear in its purpose and its scope, and I believe that the town voters are smarter than that. To support that, at the next annual meeting in 2023, these same voters, after lengthy discussion, the voters approved funding a capital reserve account in the amount of $80,000 to specifically provide legal fees to, quote, enforce and defend the town's zoning ordinances in respect to limitations on short-term rentals. So I think that speaks loud and clear as to what the town expects the select board to do. So regarding the current cases in Madison, the first case heard by the ZBA was a new property that was under construction in March of 2022. The second appeal to the ZBA was denied in early January of 2024. And he continued to advertise on Airbnb at least through May 25th of 2024. The fines piled up to a tune of about $20,000. This is what the town had been looking for. The court could now make a determination as to whether or not our amended ordinance would be upheld without any consideration of prior rentals, because nothing happened until after March of 2022. Unfortunately, I believe that Mr. Gage, the owner of this property, is now in the process of trying to negotiate a settlement with the town. Is there any way you can confirm that?
Nope.
Okay. The second case involved the Medeiros' property at 81 Knight, and I believe that house is next door to Bob Boyd, if any of you remember that hearing. No claim of any prior rental history to March of 2022. It was the previous owner's primary residence, so there was no prior rental on that. At the November 2023 meeting, there was a discussion about their continued use as an STR, and the ZBA's attorney stated that they would be doing so at their own risk, as fines would start accruing back to the date of the letter of violation. That letter was dated August 16th of 2023. They didn't take their listing down until the end of March of 2024. This was 231 days since their letter of violation, which equates to approximately $63,500 in daily fines. When I asked as to the status of this in early May, I was told the case was closed as the property was up for sale and no fines have been assessed. Did the select board discuss this, about whether or not to fine these people for the days that they were renting after their violation letter?
When was that?
The end of March. The end of March is when they finally stopped renting, but they got their cease and desist letter on August 16th of the year before. And they were told it's at your risk, you can continue to rent, but if A, you're found in violation by a court, or they just stop renting at some point, those monies are due to the town if the town chose to pursue them. I'm really not sure when and why it was decided to waive all of these accrued fines.
All right, I'm not trying to cut you off, but I
Okay.
need to speed
Quickly.
you up just in
Okay, all
case
right, all right, so
somebody
I'll
else
talk
would
a
like
little
to speak.
faster. The town didn't recover anything, not for all the hours invested by the office or even for legal fees. This money could actually have gone a long way to help pay for that grader. This is a copy of the email with a summary of the discussion that Attorney Bolt had with Matt Johnson, but I'm afraid it's not very transparent. And I'm not even sure why Attorney Bolt was involved in that conversation, as it's the select board that determines enforcement of the zoning fines and not the ZBA. So it sounds like it should have been Cordell Johnson and the select board making those decisions and not Chris Bolt, who represents the ZBA. There's 3 other cases that are moving forward that involve properties that did have some prior rental history to the March 2022 ordinance, but not before the adoption of the zoning ordinance. I would respectfully ask that the select board reconsider moving forward with one or more of the properties that were presented at the last meeting, as they all had no rental history prior to March of 2022. The 2 properties were not even, 2 of the properties were not even completed until 2023. There's been positive results with these new low-hanging fruit cases, as they have not wanted to go to court. So let's not stop the momentum, as the message is starting to get through. There's 4 of the properties that did receive cease and desist letters, and the alleged violation had no rental property, no rental history, but they're in this 6-month, continuation that was asked for by their attorney and accepted by the ZBA. So currently, there's no STR cases post-March of 22 that is in the works.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I just want to address a couple of things.
Public comments not to be addressed unless it's an agenda item.
I wouldn't
So
respond.
I think you have an option to do that if you choose to. Thank you.
I'm pretty sure it's within our rules, but
You don't have to address it, but I believe the
no, it needs,
board has the opportunity.
not that I don't want to address you. I think we need to start following our rules a little bit better, because we're not, and it's driving me crazy with not just this, but everything. If it needs to be discussed, it needs to be an agenda item. Public comment is for them to comment, us to listen, and decide whether or not we want to put it on the agenda. Not to have a back and forth discussion or something that we weren't prepared to discuss.
Okay.
Not that I don't want to discuss it, I would happily discuss it, but it needs to be on the agenda.
I just wanted to clarify things that I said that were
I'll be on.
not stated clearly, so, okay, moving
Go ahead,
on.
Nick.
Would we be allowed to just be automatically put on every week?
I think remember how it was old business before?
I do, but at this time, I can't speak for the entire board. I don't think that it's necessary to have it on every week. But that's not just my decision to make.
Can we apply for that? Can we ask for that?
You send an email to Linda and we can discuss it at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. I lived in.
Can you
I
say
lived-
your name for the camera?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Paulette Lowry. I live in Carden Park, and I was driving through it, and I noticed that someone has a sign, Airbnb, on their home. And I don't know if it's also included in what's been going on, because I haven't been up to date, and I'm not here during the winter. So is there any way to find out, or?
It definitely is, but you need to make your complaint to Bob Boyd, code
Okay.
enforcement officer.
All right, thank you.
Yep. All right. I hope I'm seeing no more public comment. But I'll ask one more time, glutton for punishment. All right, we're gonna close the public comment portion. Discussion items and new business. Turtle crossing sign on East Madison Road. This one was me. I had a citizen request that we put a sign on either side of, on this side of the marsh, swamp, whatever you wanna call it.
Durgan Pond?
I don't know what it's called, I'm not good with names. But
Just, like if you're
Durgan-
headed.
Is it Durgan? Is that
Yeah,
one
so if
Durgan?
you're headed
Yeah.
from,
So just this
Pasco
side of
to
Durgan
Lead
Pond and one just before Lead Mine. There are some homemade signs out there that aren't very large, and apparently somebody is seeing significant amounts of squished turtles and asked that we put up signs on either side, regular road signs.
Yeah, bigger signs is gonna do it. That's gonna make the people stop running.
I don't have a problem with the signs. If we can figure out how much they cost, I think we can discuss it in the next meeting, but
Oh, we're gonna pay for the signs?
that's what they're looking for.
Or you could paint them,
You could go.
get a little piece of wood.
well, they're already there, people did hand paint
Oh,
signs.
are they?
If it gets people to slow down around that corner, I'm all for it.
I got one the other day.
Go ahead, Leonard. I was ready for it. You just have either you or Josh or somebody look into what the cost of the signs would be. For the crossing road signs.
Okay, I'll say it.
Thank you.
Signs are great, but if that sign's gonna be up there all year round, personally myself, I'm gonna drive by that sign every morning. And I'm gonna ignore it after a month. And I'm not even gonna know if I drove by it after that. And then when next spring comes around and poor little turtles are crossing the road again, I'm still gonna be driving by that sign and I'm gonna be ignoring it. So the ones that go up now, I actually do pay attention to.
Yeah.
Because it's there, it's new, it'll be gone
It's
in a
new,
few
yeah.
weeks. You know, and it makes me a little bit more conscious, but if that yellow sign is there every day when I drive by it, just like
Deer
I'm gonna be the
crossing.
terrible person that I am. I just noticed the other day that there's a slow children sign kinda near your house. And in my mind, I thought, well, why is that there? Because Melissa's kids are all grown, and then I kinda thought about it again. I was like, oh, well, there's your kids and there's the daycare and, you know, Asia's little one. But I wasn't conscious of that sign. You see what you see
Maybe,
where I'm
maybe we can get temporary
going
signs,
with it.
larger temporary
Yes.
signs.
Temporary.
I would make something temporary, I wouldn't do anything of any,
Okay.
cause I see that.
I will look into it personally, see if we can get something larger and temporary and bring it back to the board.
I mean, if we can't let ourselves tune out all the road signs. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, no, I totally agree, but by human nature, you drive,
Yeah.
you know, I come home from work and Josh said, you see, we got the tractor, and I was like, no, I didn't even notice, because I'm used to seeing the tractor in the yard, if it's there, it's not there, you know, you just don't.
There is a science behind that. It's actually, I believe, in the MUTCD, which is the federal book that governs signs, that there is a certain amount of times that a person will look at a sign before they forget it's there. So that's just the
It's like
nature of.
background.
Yeah, I mean, once
noise,
you,
you don't hear it
I forget,
after a
there's a
while.
term they use for it.
Yeah. Yeah,
I can't remember what it is, but.
yeah, it's like background noise. You
It's not
just don't
inattentive
hear it after a
blindness, is
while,
it?
You don't see it after a while.
In retail, it's called impressions,
Yes.
visual impressions,
Too much coming at you all the
all the
time.
time.
I'll see what I can come up with for a temporary sign that might be a little bit larger, or more visible than the ones that are currently there, and then I'll.
And how long are they gonna be up though? Do we have any, I don't know, when the turtle stop going across the road?
They've been for a little while now.
They should go across the road somewhere else.
Somebody should let them know.
Yeah, you send them a letter.
Tiffany's
I-
got
I-
I'll do some research. I didn't have time to look into it yet. Somebody asked and I figured I'd bring it up. But I can do some research, figure out how long they should be up and see if I can find some.
Do we know who puts those up? I mean, if they know enough to put them up now, do they know enough when we take them down?
I don't know who puts them up because it wasn't the person that put them up that asked me.
Alright,
All right.
okay.
All right, NC Council Route 16 and Route 113 intersection. I looked at this report pretty extensively upstairs. I don't need to get it out again actually because I've a pretty good idea of what they're looking for. It's not a final report, but I don't have a problem with us backing the idea of continuing to
Move forward with it?
move forward and try to add it to the 10-year plan. I think that we could probably send a letter of support now, and if the final plan isn't up to what we may be interested in, you could pull our support at that time.
Yeah, I'm thinking, there are gonna be more hearings on this. I mean, that was the results of a hearing well over a year ago, I think, wasn't it, Mike? We went that, was in the wintertime.
Yeah, and there's another one coming up, which is, I'm led to believe that this is a product between the North Country Council and the town of Albany that generated this, what you're looking at. The state of New Hampshire's gonna have another, they call them listening sessions, and I believe it's gonna be at the town of Albany Town Hall again.
Well, we've got a packet upstairs that shows,
Yeah, I think I showed it to Mike earlier.
and there's no doubt Route 16 needs some work, a safety situation, there's no question in my mind.
So we're specifically, just so folks know, we're talking about the intersection where 113 meets 16 at Coleman's. They're looking, the proposal is to move that intersection 0.4 miles south on 16. So it would be in Madison, kind of closer to Albany, but we have some maps, I'm still working my way through them. That intersection is crazy.
It is, but it's important to remember that that's not a final proposal.
Right.
That is
An
what they
idea.
think they should do, and then there's gonna be 30 other talking heads that are gonna have their input. And it's gonna change probably dramatically from that,
Yeah,
which is my only concern. I'm in support of the idea of fixing it. But if we're gonna be in support of it, I wanna be a part of it, and I wanna know what they're gonna do to fix it, and we would withhold the right to withdraw our support at any time if they're not doing what we think is correct.
So it,
do you know when the next meeting is, Mike?
I don't, I haven't seen anything official, but I thought my eyes caught something in the paper today about one of these listening sessions coming up soon.
The proposal deadline was July 3rd, so I'm guessing it's probably in and around the first or second week of July.
So they're asking for us to provide a letter of support to attach with their documentation, going to the Department of Transportation.
That's my understanding of
It's a 10-year transportation improvement plan. I'm confused as to whom we're submitting this letter of support, and I think we just need to be clear that our support is, to,
Yeah, North Country Council,
it. Yeah.
who represents us, of
Yeah.
which we're not members.
I can ask Nick for a little more detail on
yeah.
where it would go. sometimes they even have like an example.
Yeah.
Yeah, just make sure we know.
But do they want that by the 3rd?
Which is before your next meeting, so if you
If-
wanted to sign something out of session.
Yeah, this came from Nick Altugner, North Country Council.
Yep, and he's saying he wants to submit a proposal to the 10-year transportation improvement plan. Would Madison be interested in submitting a joint proposal with the town of Albany to find a solution to the concerns of that intersection? Would require no local funding. If interested, I would suggest the town provide a letter of support to attach with the documentation.
Sounds like he wants our letter of support to attach to his documentation
Yeah.
to send to DOT,
That's what it sounds like.
which I don't have a problem with.
Yeah,
It's,
well, let's just see what the final plan is.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we can send a very bland statement just saying we support further research or further, looking into this as an option.
because it's before our next meeting, I'll make a motion that we sign that out of session.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, old business, square fees and new rec fee. Heather, you made it.
Rec Director O'Donnell.
All right, so the new rec fee is for the early drop-off and late pickup at $5 a hit or $10 a day if you take both. But you're going with $5 so that they can pick and choose whether it's just one or both. So the fee would be $5 for an off-time pickup would be how I would probably word it.
Yep, there's an hour before,
Yeah.
and there's an hour in the end.
I think that's how I would post it, if we're gonna have a public hearing, it's a $5 fee for an off-time pickup.
How many
That way-
sorry.
Or pickup or drop off, yeah, go ahead.
How many families did we have interested in that?
I wanna say 8, but it might be more. I have it right here, extended.
So enough to support having a counselor for,
Yes.
okay.
Yep. Okay, yeah, 6,
6,
yeah,
so 30.
right. And so it would be, 8 o'clock early drop off to a 5 o'clock late pickup, so an hour on each end. Yeah.
And how many counselors would we have staffing?
We could have 2, we have 2 interested if we had the need for that, but I only think we need 1 if we decide, yeah. Yep,
Because two counselors would be $36.
right,
And we'd be getting 30 unless
Right.
more people
Right.
signed up.
right.
So the
Operating at a
dilemma
loss.
is, the public hearing won't happen till our next meeting,
Yep,
so you'll have 2 weeks of not being able to charge fees. Are you going to still allow early drop off and then pick up
No.
without the fees? No.
no, I've kind of shut it off for right now and emailed the parents and told them, well, we're still working on it, but that it hasn't been approved yet, so, and they all were fine with it, understood. So, yeah.
I mean, do we want to schedule the public hearing for our next meeting?
Yeah.
For that
Yeah.
fee?
I don't think of any other ones you're gonna need for the rest of the summer.
Seriously.
What else do we need to do with the square fees? I see that's still on there. Have we not nailed that one down? Is there something else we need to?
So the fee is 2.9% of the transaction. So someone pays $600 for the 8 weeks of camp, 2.9% of that square keeps, plus 30 cents per transaction.
Is there some sort of toggle to toggle that 2.9% to the user?
I think we should, yeah.
I mean, that's pretty standard just about everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Outside of a convenience store, or even, some may do it, but
Yeah,
I think there's gotta be a toggle on Apple where we can just attach that to their fee. Now, do we need a public hearing for that?
Probably. Well, have we needed one for when you register your car or things like that online and there is a convenience fee?
I don't know that, when that went into place. How that
I mean,
worked.
it's not our fee, we're not collecting it, so I don't,
Oh, true, right, I see.
so
Right,
just,
right,
I
right.
think we need to note that going forward, if you're going to pay with a credit card, Apple charges you 2.9%. Right,
The way we've been told to characterize it on the motor vehicle side, if you do it, it's a convenience fee. We're offering the convenience of accepting electronic payment, but any fee associated with that collection will be borne by you, because American Express still tried to do it. They tried to take it out of, but I have to balance to zero with the DMV.
Right.
And when they took out their percentage, I could never balance. Well, I could balance because I didn't know about it, but the treasurer couldn't balance to me.
yeah,
Because American Express had held back a percentage, and the treasurer could never balance to my number. And it took us a good long while, number one, to catch it, figure out where the imbalance was, and then a good while after that, convincing American Express to knock it off, or just, I told Invoice Cloud, I said, just cut them off, I don't wanna accept American Express
right.
anymore if they're not gonna, they couldn't understand that, they thought we were a business, we're not.
Well, yeah, because in business, things are a little bit different,
Well, they are a lot different.
because.
You can make a calculated decision to give away some of your money.
Yeah,
I can't.
but there is an issue with, credit cards have to be the highest fee. If someone pays cash, they can get a discount. And you'll see that in a lot of convenience stores and gas stations. You can't do reverse in retail. You can't add $2 for that and it's $2.10. You can't do that.
I did call Square and actually speak with a human being, and I
Really?
said, I know,
It's scary.
Did they speak
I was
English?
shocked. They might have had an accent. But what I learned was, I said, we are a municipality. We are not retail, we are not a business, we are a municipality. And they said, in terms of us, we don't care. You're treated the same.
So, I personally don't think we need a public hearing, I think we just need to note that
See what you're saying, because we're not collecting the fee.
we're not taking the fee,
Well, and-
Apple's gonna get the fee.
I don't know if I can speak. Sorry.
Yes.
State your name, please.
And, I mean, all of these people, all of our parents have another option, so they don't have to use the Square, it's just convenience, so they're paying for that,
Right,
obviously.
they can write a check.
Right, they could write it, I always state that, like, whenever they say, how do we pay for this? Well, you can go to the town hall and still do cash or check, or you can use our Square. So, yeah,
Then I have to figure out how to configure the
Convenience.
Square. So again, say we have a
Right.
$600,
right,
we have
Plus the
approved
fee.
a $600 fee, but now if I go to the Square and I adjust for 2.9% of 600 plus 30 cents, we are now charging $600 times 2.9% plus 30 cents. And that's
Yeah.
now what we're charging.
right,
But we're not
But
getting
we're
it,
not collecting it.
Yeah.
we are not collecting it, we are only collecting 600.
right.
If I have a way of
You
doing
have
that,
to program that, right.
I'll see if I can do it separately, that way it's clear that it's not that 600 and that it
But
is.
then will there be another 2.9 and 30 cents on that separate charge for that? No, seriously, you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? Because you make
Yes.
two transactions.
There
Yes,
probably
yeah.
will be.
and you go
Usually
into
with,
infinity with
I don't
that.
know how Square works, but with a lot of credit card machines, you can toggle it to add the percentage
Yeah, let me check.
automatically
Let me
to
check.
whatever you're charging.
This is programmed that way.
Yeah. So, anything else on the Square fees?
On that same vein, so, we were gonna be refunding someone who paid on the Square, and we checked, Jordan and I had a discussion about it. The way she'd like to see it done is that they would get a check back versus putting it back. She'd like to see that, the account that we have all the Square money go into only be an account that can take money. She doesn't wanna have to put anything backwards in it. And we'll have a paper trail that way, so it came into that account, she transfers it to the general fund, because it was a fee that would go in the general fund. Then you can see that there'll be a check that was actually written why it went out. It just wasn't electronic transfer back and forth kind of thing. There's a definite, like a
flow.
Yeah, the green sheet with the request for payment, you know, to say that, you know, Mrs. Jones is gonna get it back on that. So then we started talking about it more, well, which kind of took the problem away, in a way. What do we refund them though?
So, yeah.
If we refund them $600, then we took the hit in the first place and now we're taking a hit again because we're giving them back more money than they actually paid.
So we
actually took in.
So we only get charged once, the 2.9% plus 30. We don't get charged if we refund. We just get charged the one time upfront. I see what
It's
you're
done on
saying.
the card.
Yes.
So when so I'm throwing a number out there, this person paid $585, not $600.
Right.
They want their money back. Do we?
Yeah, at this point.
$585, is that what they get back because they're gonna get charged the convenience fee? Or do we give them back the $600 and then we took a $15 hit and now we're taking another $15 hit?
My understanding is the way we've been operating is that the convenience fee is a fee we were willing to take a hit on as financially because it meant so much less labor for, you know, for you and Kate and people and foot traffic and all of that other stuff. So so we were willing to go the square route and knowing that there would be fees, but also knowing that it would mean not a constant flow of people and paperwork and all this through you guys. So that was my understanding, we were willing to accept the fees, but that we didn't have we agreed that the participants weren't paying that fee, hence why we're still doing the 600.
And I agree with the first part about that, you know, it was to kind of like slow down the traffic, but it kept getting put on the agenda because we were trying to figure out how to charge those fees. I don't think was the original idea was not to charge those fees. I think part of the discussion was, well, let's just get it going and see how it works. And we just kept putting off the
fee part of it. In my personal opinion is that this person, whoever it is, gets reimbursed less the fee that it costs us to run the card. And I have a feeling that the majority of the public is gonna be very understanding of that, especially being that summer camp started and now their kid's not there. And it was a spot that we could have opened up I don't know if we did open it up or something, but nonetheless, my opinion is to reimburse it via check, less the fee.
Is it clear to people, I mean, when I do the square, it's not clear to people that there's a fee.
And that's what we were talking about, is that it's not, we haven't set those, so
It does
we need
not,
to,
yeah.
right, that's what we're
We
trying
need to make it clear, but I
figure
have a
out.
feeling that if this person is not understanding, they can come back and see us. But for now.
How much is it? $17 or something?
Yeah.
I wanna say it's 17 on 600.
I need the reports.
Yeah, they're in the email. My thought would be, if this is the only one-off and we had not made any decisions otherwise, that would be my inclination, would be just let this one go. It's, you know, because we said I think you say in the handbook and stuff, refunds will be addressed on a, case-by-case basis.
Well, actually, on the website it says no refunds, and then it says, but they'll be just
Just
on
on
a case by case, so it's
basis.
kinda,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
John, sounds like we need your opinion here.
This is why I don't do it at the transfer station. Cash or check.
Yeah.
You need some ATM? There's a guy right down the street. I get 2 calls a week. I'm not gonna get into it for two sales a week. It's not worth it. See, I come from the retail side of this. That's my mind is stuck in retail.
And what does your retail mind say?
And the retail mind says that the house carries the bill, carries that 2.9%. For years, I paid thousands and thousands of dollars in credit card fees. I built it into the other price. This item should be $1.99, gonna be $2.06, and I eat the fee. But I don't think we can. We can't eat the fee. Especially on real estate tax. It would be huge.
Yeah, no, we're just talking about this one.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
yours is different than theirs. You don't use a square.
No.
No, but it's the town's money, all I'm saying is I think we should, I would argue we have a town-wide policy. Electronic payments, the customer pays the fee. And whatever we set for a fee is what we have to collect.
What do you collect?
There's less,
What do you collect?
well, everything that I do, you can pay electronically.
And do you know what the fee is?
It's 2.95% on credit cards, and it's 40 cents for an electronic check.
And does that go straight to Visa, MasterCard, or?
Whoever, it goes
Yeah.
through, it's processed through Invoice Cloud is the clearinghouse, whatever you wanna call it. But, yeah, the fee goes to them, and that's why I don't, we got it structured, I mean, of course, I got a big association behind me, and the entire state of New Hampshire operates this way, so it's pretty well understood that we get the principal, you keep the fee.
Yeah,
But the
no.
customer pays them both.
And we did a wait and see, and we waited, and now we're seeing that
All right,
we
John,
didn't charge the fee.
do we give her the 600 back or less the 2.9%?
What was the
Well-
principal that she paid?
600?
600.
But from that, the square people took a
So
percentage.
2.9, yeah.
Right, and we have no way to get that back.
No.
$17
So,
or
so
something.
the consumer pays for it.
Fair enough.
That's my opinion.
All right.
Right, can I ask another question?
Mm-hmm.
Who, who decides who gets refunds? This, case by case basis, who's the case by case worker? Because I don't know why I'm so concerned about this, but here's my scenario, okay? We've gone through 6 weeks of camp, Billy breaks his leg, oh, poor Billy, he wants his last 2 weeks of camp money back. Who wants to make that decision? I guess it needs to be clear who or what. Either there is no refunds, or they're on a case by case, and someone's gotta be that case by case decider. Who?
I'm guessing you don't want to be that case by case decider.
So what is our,
I mean, based on town policy, it has to come here, that's my
yeah.
understanding.
so what is our town policy? Like,
Well,
where is it?
For fees, you
Yeah,
mean?
where is the scenario addressed in town policy that we don't have to reinvent?
I know, well, the one example that I do know of is the building permit. It specifically says on there, they're non-refundable, which makes sense because you got the service. And even with camp, they spent, 6 of the 8 weeks there, you've already invested what you needed to have this kid stay for the whole 8 weeks. I'm sorry you broke your leg, but, but I guess, I can't really think of fees that can anybody think of ones that we refund really? Because everything is like your fee went for your car, or whatever, or your, a copy that I'm not gonna give,
We don't even do that unless the state of New Hampshire does it first.
True, right, and you don't get your it's just, this is all unique and all new, and these little things come up, some have come up, and I just feel like if someone came to the counter and asked me, if this happens, how are you gonna handle it? I don't have an answer, and, we're on the front line for a lot of this stuff.
I personally think it needs to come here, and I think it makes it easier for you, because if they ask, you could say, please submit your request to the Board of Selectmen, and then you're out of it, and you can continue to do your job, and we can take the heat.
That's kind of what I said already.
And would it kind of work the same way for, not charging the fee, because I know that we just recently had some very generous people come into the office and offer $140 donations so that they could pay for swim lessons for someone who can't afford to do swim lessons. How do you decide who gets the $140? Do they come to the selectmen in like a non-public to explain that they can't afford to do this, and they're the ones who receive the gift, or?
There was a
Or is
thought
that-
to distribute that amongst everyone who's paid. to,
But
Or
then
the
you're
one that's
still,
signed up.
it's not a bad idea, but then are you leaving out the people who can't pay?
Right.
Which is the intention of the,
Because when they came in, they said they want this to pay for a child to go.
Yeah.
Is what they're doing, was how they put it. And they said that they had heard of a family in town who was not gonna be able to swing it. And that was the catalyst for why those two people came and did that.
Well, and just a couple things, so on that, and what if there were people that would have signed up as well, that were like, oh, no, it's probably gonna be a fortune, I'm not gonna do this, we can't do it, but now they would have, right? And then just one more thing, back to the refund, I think the only reason I'm even considering this refund is because camp hadn't started yet, she moved out of town, so it wasn't even an option anymore for her.
and no services rendered.
No services were rendered. But I do feel like it needs to be black and white. It needs to be, once camp starts, that's it, you know? And I'm sorry about your broken leg, you know? But now you're 6 weeks in, there's only 8 weeks. What do you want? I don't know, yeah.
Well, I guess that, you know, if you say no refunds, then it would be, it would take that person to actually go further than that. Well, you say no refunds, but I would still like to have this conversation versus, but we'll take them on case by case, because that already opens the door for people to say, well, I feel like I should have a case by case.
Right.
You know, the person who really feels it's warranted would come forward versus just the person who's kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my feeling is that if we start doing all these refunds and people, someone steps away after a few weeks, there was someone else that you might have turned away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It isn't
I mean,
fair.
we had a waiting list.
It ain't
Yeah.
fair to those people that, you know, you wanted to sign up, someone took my space, and now they left. Now what do we do?
like,
It's probably not appropriate, but we got a huge crowd. Can I just ask a question? Are the swimming lessons separate and distinct from the camp? Like, could somebody potentially that just wants their kid to learn how to swim, just do the swimming lessons piece? And not having,
Yeah.
They were originally scheduled for different days even.
Yeah.
And that's where that $140.
but this is my thing, and it's not, by all means, you don't want me doing this because I don't have the ability, but somehow, if you knew how many, has there been 2?
That we've received donations for,
Like,
correct?
you could, somebody could put out on Facebook, because I do know that gets to a lot of people, that we've received donations to pay for two people to swim, or take swim lessons. I'd rather see it go that way, and if nobody,
So,
I would just take it, accept it as a donation to the rec program. If it didn't get used for that purpose, at least it goes into your coffers as opposed to.
so people signed up prior to knowing what the cost was, correct?
because we hadn't had the public hearing yet.
Right, so people signed up regardless of cost.
Yep.
So I think that kind of makes it clear that,
I understand that.
Yeah.
But, and you run into this all the time, if there are people out there that make their own decision that no matter how much it costs, I can't afford it, they're not even gonna ask.
Right.
And this is one of those circumstances where I'm just so firmly believe that if we teach our kids nothing else but reading, writing, and how to swim, it's very important living here with the natural
With all the
waterways that we have.
Not math.
No
Well,
math.
I mean, as far as that goes, I don't have a problem with Heather being the one, we've trusted her with just about everything else, I don't have a problem with Heather deciding who gets the donation, I don't think.
so 2 years, 3 years ago, when the first summer rec was, there was money set aside for a scholarship or two. What were the criteria? I wasn't on the committee then. What was the criteria for granting that scholarship or two?
You have to ask Susan. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay. And I know the concert,
I think we use the same criteria as the OSPI Children's Fund, if I recall correctly.
where they would have to demonstrate free or reduced lunch.
something to that effect. Susan would know for sure, but I think that was the discussion we had, was we would use the same criteria as that fund.
Okay, and it never came to be, no one ever asked, if I recall.
Correct, because everybody that needed it could use the Ospey Children's
Children's.
Fund, and we didn't have to use it.
Yep. So the Conservation Commission also
'Cause I wondered-
does a scholarship.
about that.
So go ahead.
I wondered about the Ospey Children's Fund helping with that as well,
They
the
might.
swim. Yeah.
Right, but again, it's this, that you would have to demonstrate free or reduced lunch, and I don't know that everyone,
Right. Right.
is connected with a free or reduced lunch program.
I also have a third donation in my car.
And I think one came in through rec, came in through Square,
Yeah.
so that would make 4.
I happen to be getting lunch.
So what are we doing
close
with the
by.
refund?
Yeah, we have three separate
We
threads
already
going
made
on
the
right
decision
here.
about the refund.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
less-
got a lot going on.
that
Yeah.
was less
We're sending the refund back less the fees.
Okay.
And I would just put it out there that there's no refunds, and if somebody really wants one bad enough, like you said, they'll come ask us anyway.
Mhm.
I mean, we're gonna do this one time, but going forward, no refunds.
Just one last comment and then I'm done. I mean, the committee is wondering how much of a decision they have in this as well. The rec committee,
In what?
in these decisions, like who gets the refund, who decides the refund, you know, that, just that kind of stuff. But that's a whole nother,
Well, that's a case by
Yeah, no
case
worries.
basis. Depends on what the decision is, I guess, really.
right. Cause they usually help with my decision making as well, you know.
Well, I guess you could go back to, I think that it would be the selectmen who have the ability to waive fees. I don't think any of other fees are waived, you know, that, I guess, I don't know. Yeah, cause you guys would make a plan for, either a payment plan or whatever it is like that when it comes to things with people. But, I guess. It's all new. It's
It is all new.
It's all.
I think you don't have anything else in the works right now, right? So I think we need to stew on it a little bit,
Mhm.
because I don't want it to have to come here every 2 weeks and then you not be able to make a decision when you need to, but there are certain things that have to come here.
Yeah, no one else can give money away.
Right.
We can.
Which is not in
So-
John's DNA.
Do we put it out to the families that have signed up, because they didn't know cost when they signed up, to apply for scholarships that have been made available?
I would do that. Just put it out to the people that signed up, not knowing the cost, that we have some scholarships available, and if you want your name on the list, fill out a Google form or whatever, and then
I
we
also
would
have
have to,
people that have paid that may, but it's too late, right?
It's too late
Well,
for the
that
people that have paid.
scholarship. Okay. Alright, I'm just
But-
getting ready for that response, that's all, yeah.
it's too late for the people that have paid, but it would have to be a non-public for people that are applying for scholarship.
Right.
So if you wanna put it out on a Google form, and then we can have a non-public regarding the scholarship portion of it.
And then we should reach out to Ospey Children's Fund as well,
Okay.
just to know.
Okay.
And if they have other criteria other than free or reduced lunch.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Joy,
Yeah, I'll just circle back on something that was said at public comment that, I had said in the previous conversation about the STRs that people didn't understand what they were voting for, and, the person said today that voters are smarter than I was giving them credit for, or something along those lines. I stand by what I said, because the majority of people I've spoken with since that vote, whether it was on the campaign trail or just over the past several years, have told me they did not understand. So that's not me making stuff up, that's me providing feedback of feedback that I received. And yes, we have smart voters, which is why I was very clear that our smart voters still didn't understand, so. And then the 80K, that was a contentious vote that went back and forth for a good half hour or more, so it wasn't just cut and dry, all right, we're all in favor of the 80 for the legal fees for STRs.
Okay.
So, and then we should reach out to Ospey Children's Fund as well, just to know.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Other than that, I don't think I have anything today. I think we've had a long enough day.
John?
Couple of things. We're at 48.5% of the year's gone by, and we have spent 48.9% of our budget. We're in pretty good shape. Talking about fees. Transfer station is taken in through June 24th. A year ago, we took in $29,652. This year, we've taken in $29,544. Just about $100 off from a year ago. Busy. Last year was a record year. So we're on pace to do $68,000. And we don't give refunds.
That's a greater payment.
There's a greater payment right there.
If I could add the rec through Square alone, 13,720 for summer camp and swim lessons so far. And that's just through Square, not through people's paid name, so.
So somewhere in the neighborhood of $500 in fees to Square. Anything else, John?
I'm all set.
All right, I do not have a list. Linda?
No less.
No list. Mr. Brooks, let's start with you. You haven't been here in a while, so.
Yeah, a lot to catch up on. Start with on the July 17, 2023 storm event. We got our first project settled and got a check from the state of New Hampshire on Monday, slightly north of $263,000. That is, I can't recite the project number, but that is the road portion of Colby Hill Road. FEMA broke out any of the driveway culvert work and ditch work that was related with driveway culverts involved into a separate project, which remains open. So one out of the 4 projects has closed out, which is good. And the other ones are progressing. 2 out of the 3 remaining can be closed in the short term. I just need to get some more documentation to them. The work itself is done. There's only one project with the remaining incomplete work, and Josh is working on scheduling for the pavement patches and different things that are remaining work that actually has to be done. So that project is looking pretty okay. The December event is just starting out in process, and hopefully we do have an emergency authorization from DES to perform the work to reopen the road. That work needs to be complete under that emergency authorization by August 13th. And we're not worried that that's not gonna happen. However, I am in the process of, I do have to submit for an actual wetlands permit from DES. Thinking that was all, I got a phone call from the Army Corps of Engineers. I need to get a permit from them. And I need to ask for a site survey by the New Hampshire Historical and Heritage Foundation. They need to come out and make sure there's, because those nearly 50-year-old culverts are artifacts.
They can have them.
Dead serious. And we need a permit. But anyway, I've got that in the works, so I'll get that all submitted to them. But the work itself is gonna get done by our contractor by August 13th, and that's all we really care about, is getting the road opened up. But the likelihood, I don't know what kind of games they're gonna play with these on the paperwork side. It's likely not to go as smoothly as the other, is my guess. Anytime you get, I mean, it's bad enough the federal government's involved, but the Army Corps of Engineers, I've never had a good experience with. But, So that's pretty much it on the FEMA update. I gave you a printout upstairs for the tax collection. It's kinda weird. We got them out a little bit, well, actually right about the same schedule, maybe a week or so early. But I added a week on the other end because I gotta take a couple of days off. My wife's got a family matter we have to attend to, and I didn't wanna have the due date come when I wasn't gonna be here, so I extended it an extra week. So I think people know that, so they really haven't like rushed in to pay. So it's, the collection process itself is going a little bit slower, dollar-wise, but I think at the end, once we get to the due date, the percentage is gonna remain the same. I did get a warning yesterday. The big electronic payment from the mortgage clearinghouse is gonna be scheduled to arrive July 3rd. So that'll be, that's substantial when that one comes, so that'll be good. What am I missing? Fire department, the course that I've missed a bunch of meetings because I've been in, myself and another member, we both successfully passed the course itself. We're awaiting approval from the instructor so we can schedule the state and national tests. So that'll be in the works this coming couple of months. There are some testing available the middle of July, the end of July, and then nothing until September, so we're hopeful that we can get in July as opposed to waiting 2 months, but that will be what it will be. That's pretty much all I can think of for an update.
Where are we with the PFAS in the well?
I don't have a specific update other than to say the second round of water tests has occurred in accordance with the proposal that was presented. I am actually I said something to Linda on Monday, surprised that we haven't gotten the written report yet. I'm awaiting a written report from Wilcox and Barton outlining their findings, and I'm assuming that report is probably going to DES with a CC of the town of Madison. Because but once we get that report, it will bear some discussion, because I'm assuming they're also, they'll probably come up here for a meeting, if it would be my guess, to outline what steps we may have to take going forward.
When was that last round? I'm sorry.
What's that?
When was that last round of testing done?
I would have to look back at my email, but it was 3 weeks ago.
And
They had about 2 or 3 week interval in between.
what are their thoughts on the funding?
They were gonna look into what would be available. As she explained it to me, it's like anything else when you get politics involved. There's a big problem down in the Londonderry area, you may have heard about it. The St. Gobain disaster down there, that's a big one.
Yeah.
A large chunk of any bit of money that comes to the state of New Hampshire is gonna go right there. But they are plugged in through their vocation. Anything that would be available, they're gonna let me know.
Okay, and we also have Joe Dane, who has contacts in both Chris Pappas and Maggie Hassan's offices, asking what can we do to help you guys? So Joe wants to know what he can do to help us facilitate.
Well, again, right now, we appropriated $35,000 to drill these holes in the ground, conduct this round of testing, and for them to generate a report. Until we know what that report says and what it may indicate, what we may have to do, we don't know. Right now, we need zero money until we know what steps we have to take. I don't even wanna speculate. I have some things in my mind, some obvious things that I think are gonna have to happen, but I'm not gonna say it out loud until somebody says, cause that's what their report's gonna say if, and then we'll just have to, by then we can formulate, we'll be able to get some estimates on, once somebody identifies the work that we have to do, then we can get some estimates from contractors on what it would cost to do that work, and then we would know what kind of help. Because we'll have to have those type of estimates from a contractor before we could even apply for federal money like that.
Yeah, I think what they're offering is to help us identify what documentation we would need, what they can help with. And that might help us make decisions as well, just as all part of an intertwined process.
Well, like I say, as soon as we get the report from the environmental engineers that are working for us, frankly, we're paying them. As soon as we get their report, we see what it says, and it's gonna identify, in my mind, it's gonna identify a scope of work going forward. And then it becomes, what kind of time frame do we have with DES? Because if the source of PFAS originated from this fire department, it could have started as early as 1983. So
What's our next deadline with DES?
we don't have one.
Okay.
There's no, they were, I don't know what the word is. They were happy that we've engaged somebody that's working on our behalf that frankly is a recommended, it's on their list of recommended practitioners. So the DES is kind of happy that we're working with the folks that we are. And again, we just gotta wait and see what their report says. And like I say, I anticipate somebody from Wilcox and Barton coming up here and addressing this meeting with their report to explain, because there's gonna be, these chemical names are like this long on a sheet of paper. They're gonna have to come up and explain. I mean, I could certainly take a shot at it, but I'm no chemist by any stretch.
Well, hopefully it's the ones that are abbreviated.
Well, yeah, but.
The PFAS 4, the PFOS, the whatever it is.
Well, that's right, but there's alkalite, those different suffixes have different meanings. One's dangerous, one isn't so bad. But in any event, I anticipate. I can't think that it's gonna be cheap if we have a problem.
Probably not.
And so I think the guy, he came up when he was seeking the work, when he made his proposal, I thought he seemed like a straight shooter to me. I think he's gonna come up and explain the bad news, which we'll need the explanation, frankly. Like I said, that's what I'm surprised. My luck, it might be in my inbox right now. It wasn't at 4 o'clock, I swear to God. It might probably be there tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we just had Sandtech do the transfer station, and in less than 2 weeks, we got that.
Yeah.
Report, less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, but that's a little different. They've been drawing those samples for 30 years.
Yeah.
They're just updating their charts.
All right, you all set?
As far as I know.
Josh?
I'll keep it brief. The pavings will be completed tomorrow. Lee Hill, Aldo.
Did you say Pound Road?
Yeah.
Okay, I was driving by what, I wasn't expecting paving at Pound Road, like what, because I thought we finished last year, or what's
We
going
put
on
the
there?
base coat on last year, and this
Okay.
is the top coat.
Okay,
That we'll call it wear coat. And the section it'll be from East Madison to the beginning of Pound Road, to the top of Pound Road, what was, just the base was put down last year.
okay. But it's all funded in that warrant article from last
Yeah.
year? Okay, thank you.
We checked the the dock, had some broken welds on the steps. Dave, you looked at replacing those? We removed them on Saturday, trying to get the pump fixed at the,
So you guys got water now?
Partial.
yeah, we're getting that figured out.
Okay.
Where's that, at Burkefield? Where's it coming from? What is it?
There's all kinds of water issues.
I was gonna say, do you wanna go on with that?
The well, the pump at the lower field was having issues. Mike tried to fix it earlier and it worked for a little while, and Dave has some ideas of what the problem might be, but we're not 100% sure. And the lock on the upper spout, couldn't find the key for, finally found the key for. Trying to figure out, my question is, can we just put one of our regular locks on that spout? Does it have to be? Because because I can't make a copy of the key that goes to that one. It's like a Mac toolbox key.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
And that's the other one, yeah. Yeah.
Which well, the well behind the backstop?
No, I'm talking about the spout in the upper shed.
Okay.
The garden club has a key on it because they use it all the time, but I assume whoever has, do they come here and get a key before they?
No, they have one.
So where does that water come from?
I got a key to that behind the back seat of my car.
I'm just trying to make it easier for her so she doesn't have to come here every single day to get the key to use the water. But if we do that, then we gotta give the garden club the key to that.
alcohol.
But not for me.
I wonder why it needs to be locked, frankly.
Yes.
There's a sign right above it that says, don't drink the water. To me, that pretty well covers it.
Is that why it's locked, or is it?
Why else would it be?
I remember something about the garden club putting that lock on.
But the garden club didn't drill the well, they didn't buy that building, and they didn't contribute to the plumbing and the pressure tank and everything that's inside to produce that water. They got no right to put a lock on anything.
What is the water source?
It's a drilled well. It was a decision made, well, about 10 years ago now.
Probably more than that.
No, it wasn't more than that, because Linda was here.
So is it up behind the sheds?
It's right behind the sheds. If you drew a straight line off the end of the basketball court, behind the biggest rock, the well's right there. I mean, it's above ground, you can't miss it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was drilled in and for a number of reasons. First and foremost, we could not eliminate the E. coli in the dug wells behind the dugout, the backstop. A rodent or something got down in there and died. I mean, I put a fire truck in there and pumped it out, dumped bleach in, let it recharge, and we tested it. We just could not get rid of the E. coli. We spent that year $300 and some on water tests with all non-passing results. So the select board at the time decided we'll drill a well. We had the well drilled, and that would be the well to supply water to the pavilion if we ever get it built.
And when you are using water for the kids, it's coming from that drilled well up top?
Now it is. It wasn't before,
Where's it coming from?
from the lower shed.
Which is the other dug, aren't there 2 dug wells on the lower end? Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I don't think any of us sitting here can tell you
Right.
which one they're drawing water out of. The only thing running out of that bottom shed right now, and it's not running efficiently or well, the only thing that is connected to is the spigot down by the Burkefield sign, so that they have water for their plants there. And then it pipes across and supplies all of the irrigation.
I don't have a problem taking the lock off it completely. And if we run into an issue and it's, whatever issue we may run into, we can address it then, but I don't think it needs to be locked up there.
Yeah.
And I just think if somebody drinks water from a spigot that has a red and white sign that says don't drink the water, if you get the beaver fever, that's on you.
So,
Can we add it to a slow news day list to just identify which well, which spigots kind of thing? Again, not priority, but just on a slow day.
With what?
I think she was talking to Josh, I assume.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you would even, we've tried before to identify which well that's coming from.
I have no idea.
We'd have to dig it up.
We'd have to excavate it.
Don't suppose there's any metal in the pipes that we could do metal
No, it's
detecting?
plastic, it's
All
hard.
plastic?
Did you put that lock back today? You have it with you?
I do. And the key.
We'll take it upstairs and it'll be unlocked for now, and if problems arise, we'll address them when they arise.
She's gonna be using it daily.
Yep.
It's just,
It's no sense.
Yeah.
All right, anything else, Josh?
No, that would.
Perfect. That's what I wanted to hear.
You
Heather-
just skipped right over me, I saw that.
I just knew you had.
I did.
Chief
I
King
did.
was ready to
I had a good
go.
amount. I'm proud of that. Yep, carry on.
Do you have
Go
anything?
ahead.
No. Do you have anything else?
No, I just don't know how to fix that lower shed water. It just stinks, cause, yeah.
What's
So
wrong
now
with
we
it
only
exactly?
have the one water source.
We're gonna call, I think it was, we're gonna call a plumber.
Yeah.
An actual
Right.
plumber to come
Yeah.
in. We'll try to get
Yeah.
Wayne Luoma, somebody, a local plumber,
Yeah.
and we'll try to get him in
Yeah.
to take straighten that out.
How, do we, I mean, whoever drilled the wells should have a map somewhere as to where they went to?
wait, no, it's not that big a deal. There's two dug wells side by side behind the backstop. One was put in when they were contemplating irrigating the upper field when it was brand new. They're both dug wells. They both have plastic pipe going from them into that building. It's not discernible without digging them up, whether they're connected to each other underground,
Right.
or whether one was deadheaded and we've only got one coming into the shed.
Those are the ones where E. coli was found? No.
Yep.
Okay, so
Which
have
is
we
why
tested it recently?
we haven't, no, but we don't use it for, like I say, it's only connected to water and plants and, well, water and plants, irrigation.
Okay, the kids are not, you're not using that with water sports for the kids? With the slip and slides and all the stuff that you guys do?
Mm-hmm,
You are?
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, it's not.
Sprinklers,
Not
stuff like
potable
that.
water. It's-
Yeah, but it's no more dangerous in that capacity than swimming in Silver Lake.
No, you just can't drink it.
There used to be a water bubbler, a water fountain on the side of the building, that's why it was tested, and then
Until someone tore it off the building.
Well, that was separate, that was torn off the new
They
building.
have the new one,
Right,
right?
I mean,
That was
we
gonna-
drank that water growing
that
up.
explains a
We
lot.
drank it. Thank you, I'm just saying, we're fine.
Honest to goodness, and every year it was tested until that year that
Yeah.
we couldn't get it to pass.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I dropped a suction from a fire truck and pumped the well dry. Put bleach in there, let it recharge, retested it, and we just couldn't do it. I don't, everything short of actually going down in there and removing a carcass, which is what we assume. I don't know it for a fact, but could have been a whole family of squirrels, or maybe something bigger than a squirrel, who knows?
So yeah, so the water, we're working on that, we're all working on it. I had all of you there today at one point, that's great, awesome. Thank you, I wanna say thank you to everybody for all of that, first of all. The fields look awesome, the lake was awesome yesterday. They were raked, they were clean, everything was great. Thank you so much, I appreciate it. The kids had a blast. They have their red shirts, they're ready to go, they're safe.
There's a thought down
We
there.
had we have two sponsors for our red UV swim shirts this year. Memorial Hospital paid for 85 shirts to go to the summer camp kids, counselors, and CITs. And then Northeast Auto Body was our other sponsor, and we're very grateful. Yeah, those are awesome. I think that's it. I just really wanted to thank everybody because between yesterday and today, I feel like I saw all of you. And obviously Linda has helped me so much. Even on Friday, she was helping me with boxes. So yeah, thank you to everybody. Huge. Okay,
Chief?
go.
Actually got nothing, so. just wanted to come in and say that. Yeah, nothing going on, it's almost 6:30, so even if
Yeah.
I did, I'd minimize it,
Right.
so we're good.
All right. Signature items. I might wither away to nothing if I don't get dinner soon.
All right, next time I'm bringing a bowl of granola bars and just,
Pass them out.
no, throwing them at him until he stops being hangry.
Oh.
What's that?
Or we can make the meeting go
What am I
faster.
saying?
What?
I know, crazy. Those were for money from the rec.
All right, how long do I have to sign this?
You cannot sign it if you don't want to, and we'd still be able to move forward, because that holds up our audit being completed.
Okay.
What it does.
Yeah, I wanna have all the answers, 'cause you never put your signature on something you don't know what you're signing. All right, so I'll just put that there for now. Sure. Okay. Thank you.
My dog's registered.
Yeah, you know. I don't think there's anybody in there I know.
This was a long list.
That's not, yeah, right.
That's only the people who have not
Didn't.
registered or re-registered. They're
Right,
already
they,
on the
they were
list.
registered last year and they haven't done it this year.
Listen, I've been on the list before.
What?
I've been on the list before. I believe it was Officer Mosier that served me with a civil fortitude.
All right, so just a reminder, folks playing along at home, register your dogs.
And all those abatements, like I said, were recommended by the assessor, and this is the end of it. We're under the gun, under the
Okay.
wire. July 1st would be the date that
Okay.
they would have been done with.
They all made sense to me.
Fuel tax.
I got the headache and realized I have not had a single sip of this the entire time. Water.
Was that attached?
No, it's,
No,
yeah,
okay,
that's
this
the-
is a, gotcha.
And these abatements were initiated by homeowners based on their cards, their assessment cards?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you have the lease? Both of these have two. Oh boy.
Yeah, you're everywhere with the exception of Joy on that same spot on that lease again. I think
John didn't want to sign anything? I never do.
Oh, what did I write down?
Please do not do.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, that one we didn't want to date, I know. I thought that to myself, I'm like, but this will be the one time.
Yeah, it'll be the one time I do it.
That, I think, is the Joy page. Joy and I have to sign at the bottom on that one.
Okay.
We have our own page.
Yeah, I know.
What do we do to deserve that? All right, then this is just the two.
Correct.
I feel like I've already signed my name this many times today. Just Joy. Slide that one on down.
So all of these stickers, I only need to sign the yellow one?
One, yep, yeah.
Just that one?
Yep.
Okay.
I didn't do all the other ones. That's that page right, both of us.
Did you guys sign Adam up for a manicure after all those signings? You get a little hand massage with those, I hear.
All right.
I don't know if your list is long enough. Can you have a second page in there? Yeah, that's more like, so you got A on your first page and then A2.
C, do we need A?
I,
Yes, we need A.
yes, A, C, yeah, and E. And F.
All right. We are going to enter non-public session per RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, little c, matters which if discussed in public would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of the public body itself unless such person requests an open meeting. This exemption shall extend to any application for assistance or tax abatement or waiver of a fee, fine, or other levy if based on inability to pay or poverty of the applicant. We will then go into non-public for the RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, little a, the dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee, or the disciplining of such employee, or the investigation of any charges against him or her unless the employee affected, 1, has the right to a meeting, and 2, requests the meeting be open, in which case the request shall be granted. Following that will be 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, C, matters which if discussed in public would likely affect adversely the reputation of, oh, I already read that one.
Yeah, do we have a second one for
Doubling
that?
up, nope.
Okay.
E.
E, RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, E, consideration or negotiation of pending claims or litigation which has been threatened in writing or filed by or against the public body or any subdivision thereof, or by or against any member thereof because of his or her membership in such public body until the claim or litigation has been fully adjudicated or otherwise settled. Any application filed for tax abatement pursuant to law with any body or board shall not constitute a threatened or filed litigation against any public body for the purposes of this subparagraph. Roll call vote.
John, aye.
Joy, aye.
Adam, aye. Thank you.